Is this thing on? Welcome back, friends. We are, surprise, surprise, going to write some code. Just chill. We're working on Elixir Emporium still. I'm Andrew still. One of the co-founders of the Chroma Golem Game Studio still. And, games take a long time to make, so we're just going to keep on rolling. Let me bring up my stream. Just checking everything looks good. Let me see if I can hear. Everything sounds great. Coolio. I pretty much give the spiel of what this game is at the beginning of every stream, but maybe I won't talk for 30 minutes about it this time so we can get into some code. But let me show it off. We've got here our open world crafting RPG. Still very early stages. We're still working on a lot of the systems, but most of them are done now. We've done most of them on stream. Still working on a lot of polish and stuff. I don't want to render that in 1080. Basically, you got a little lad. This little lad is an alchemist. He can create items, harvest items, combine items, modify items. Let me actually start up our... that's not what I want. Start up our stable diffusion server as well. Just so those new items... Oh, sweet, it's raining. Just so those new items can have some images generated for them as well. 1 second, let me boot that up before we get into it. Stable diffusion. That looks correct. I'm just doing this temporarily while I'm working on this, but the actual game will have a proper server for the image generation. We've got text generation up on our API already, but I haven't built out the infrastructure for the image generation quite yet, so we're just running it on our machine that we're streaming from. Hopefully it's not too slow, but we'll give that just a sec, make sure that's running. It's still booting up, loading it into memory, etc., etc. But in general, this is our game. I've been working on post-processing today, so I've got a few filters up, a little color coding, color grading. I think we've got a little bit of a vignette now, and it looks so much nicer. I wonder if I could turn it off really easily to see the difference. I bet I can. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm curious, so whatevs. Turn off our post-processing volume. Oh yeah, it looks so much more washed out now. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is what it's looked like for the last 3-4 weeks, I guess. There's a little bit of extra stuff that we've also done to make it look nicer. We added this fog so you don't see forever. I still want to do some ray casting from the mouse when you hover over objects. You don't, you can't click on this tree way off in the distance and just start pathfinding to it and come back 30 minutes later when you're on the other side of the map. It might be nicer to get players a little closer to objects. Hello, Tej. Thanks for coming in. I was just watching Cozy's brother on Twitch, and I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I gotta go do my own stream. So thanks for coming in. Let's turn that post-processing back on so things look a lot nicer. Yeah, I still want to tweak how this looks a little bit. Probably brighten it up a little bit, but I want to do that with more with dynamic lightings. We've got a little bit of this like occlusion pattern on the ground. Maybe we can tweak that a little bit. Turn down the intensity on this guy. That'll brighten it up just a tad. Maybe turn down thickness on it as well. But yeah, that's the gist. But yeah, in this game you can combine any items you want, use any item on any object. You can combine a cactus and an apple if you've ever wondered what that combines into. I don't know. It's not in the game, but you click a few buttons and now it's in the game. Hopefully. A prickly pear potion. It's a tangy potion brewed from desert flora and sweet fruit. Restores health. Minor thorn damage protection. Excellent. We still need to build in a little bit more of the systems for specifically consumable items so we can actually use them instead of using them on objects. We want to use them on ourselves. So those effects will actually have effects. Right now they don't. But you could use a prickly pear potion on an oak tree, I guess, if you want to see what you get from that. And you get oak bark extract. Brand new item in the game. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, I am just running around because I don't really have a plan for this stream. I was actually just building our Steam page right before the stream. I just realized I never posted about the stream, so probably get fewer people in here, but that's chill too. I figure maybe I'll just do a little playtesting, maybe polish up some stuff that we've been meaning to do. There's a few bigger features that I've been kind of putting off, which we could do, but we'll see. I might need to think about how we want to do them first. But I guess that's what coffee's for. But yeah, I think the crafting system and the tool system are both pretty darn sweet. I'm really excited for Andrew's work on the NPC stuff. We've kind of got some placeholder brains in right now. That's going to be really cool when he gets it in. But maybe we can just talk to somebody, maybe not the blacksmith because we always talk to him, but maybe we can try and do somebody's quest. See what we got here in town. All of this person's potions turn into vinegar as soon as she finishes them. We'll review her processes, I suppose. Maybe she's missing something. Alright, so let's just make a list of small tweaky things to change. One thing, we need to auto scroll conversations, because if I click one of these, it's just going to add it and not scroll down. Very small change, but very necessary change. Even the air is purified. Wow. Could it be the water? Maybe it's her anxiety. How about I get you an anxiety potion? Maybe we can craft one of those. Or maybe we should have tried to craft it and then asked if she wanted whatever we ended up crafting. We do still need a lot of like animations for talking and stuff. It's not the greatest experience when you say something and just nothing happens. Also, we want to increase conversation scroll rate. I'm just making all these notes here so we can have a list of a lot of small things to just roll through. Change them all at once. It scrolls really nice with the mouse and like touchpad or touch screen, I guess. But when you use your scroll wheel, this is the speed it scrolls at. We probably also want to, when you scroll, just in general, we probably want to check to see if your mouse is hovering over some UI and prevent scrolling the hotbar, since that's kind of not the greatest. So let's also say prevent hotbar scrolling when mouse is over UI. I guess we could even specifically check to see if it's over like a scroll rect container, because I guess if you are looking at your inventory, you might want to scroll. Like, it doesn't do anything here, so if you're scrolling, it's probably on purpose. So let's scroll rect. So I did not actually read her message. Let's see if it includes in the summary. So she is looking for a remedy. So maybe we can make her some sort of anxiety potion. Let's see if we can craft something like that. And I also am noticing sometimes, yeah, you gotta hit X on conversation windows. You gotta hit it twice to close it. I'm pretty sure it's because we've got a flag for whether the window's open or closed, and it probably is just defaulting to the wrong one. So when you click it the first time, it's defaulting to like open the window, and then you click it again to close it. Is double clicked. Cool. Just throwing bugs and bugs and bugs. Let's check out what Neo wants as well. Every animal won't come near her. Could be a curse or some strange scent. I do smell something pretty potent. Maybe we can get you something that can clean your scent. Just kind of lead her towards something that we want to craft, maybe. That must be it. I was so engrossed in my studies that I didn't notice any unusual scents. Cool. We want to neutralize the scent. Particular concoction or herbs in mind that could help. So we do have the woods. Maybe we can go get some herbs from over there. But that's a fine quest for her for now. And let's also see what this sailor over here wants. Mr. Chad guy. He has a curse on him. Wow, everyone's having such a bad day. Luckily, this is all just placeholder stuff for the real brains, but it is very samey on some of these. Let's see. Stars shift and dance. So he can't navigate because the stars are literally moving. Wow, okay. Sure, we can give him a vision potion. Cool, we'll get him an elixir. That'll surely be helpful. Wonder if we know any herbs. We'll find out. This will still be a little funky because it's not rigged up to querying the game state for what the actual items are. So, yeah, we don't have Midnight Bloom in the game right now. So, we will also do some sort of vision potion for him. But really all three of those need some sort of potion or elixir or something. So we're going to head on over to the cleric who sells some like salves and stuff. We'll buy him out. Ointments, salves, tinctures. Maybe we sell some stuff we don't need so we can afford what we do want. Probably no bones, bees, let's see. Get some more nectar, some aloe, probably a good idea. Don't need bark. Probably still need some cool animations on buying and selling stuff, but really just holding off on animations for a while to do in one big pass. But they're kind of the thing where I'm not an animator, so I need to either go look at assets or spend a lot of time building up animations myself. So not the greatest stream activity. Let's also give them some bricks just to get some money back. Some birch logs as well. All right, so anything else? Maybe let's grab some tinctures. We can do some crafting, but I first want to head into the woods and pick up some herbs because I think there are some that might help. And I guess we can check out what Thorn wants on the way out. Apparently he doesn't have an image. Coolio. So he is being mind controlled by his shadow. Okay, sure. Okay, he needs some sort of potion that helps with mental health. Or shadows. Evil shadows. So I don't remember where I placed the one spawner that we built that one stream for all the herbs. I feel like it was towards like the denser forest. So we'll go check it out. Let's get some tools on our hotbar. Yeah, I think I see some. I have the weirdest bug with these. They dance. And I actually have no idea why. All of the herbs dance. Like that. They just do that wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube thing. They don't actually have any... Come on. Select. Did we freeze? So there's no animators or any scripts that change their position. They just dance, and I'm pretty sure it's because of the shader, which I didn't write, but I think I think this transform that's being modified here is updating the movement, so it looks like it's dancing. But I either need to dive into this shader because we use it on all of our herbs, or write my own probably. But I don't want to just disable it because it's kind of cool to see them like that, but I definitely do want to tweak how it looks because this is way too much. But there's some funky, weird, like, math here. So I guess I could... Can I modify this value? Why is it just 1? I've never worked in shaders before, but I feel like... I mean, the modifiers it looks like for what goes into the math for updating this thing's position and transform... Looks like it's based on... Oh, that's wind scale and wind speed. Okay. And then they pipe that through the sine wave, which you can kind of see. It's going back and forth like that. But the thing is, I never set up any wind anywhere. So I'm wondering... I mean... We can just learn about wind, I suppose. Because I would assume if we didn't set up any wind, I would imagine Unity would default you to 0 wind, but maybe there's some wind with using a terrain by default. And I don't think we have any objects with the wind zone component. Wind zone, or I guess C. Is that right? Wind zone. Yeah, I think we're good on that front. I always think these graph-based code things look so cool, but every time I work in one, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, man. I can probably create one from scratch, but dang, is it hard to like jump in and follow through. So also color seems to have no effect, but it's whatever. We don't need to mess with that now. That's just a fun little aside that all of our plants dance. So We'll go ahead and harvest some. Maybe not with a chisel, but let's see what we get with the chisel. Zephyr leaf carving. Okay, let's just use our hands. Yeah, one of the big changes that I want to make is we have this harvesting system, so you can use any object on any, or use any tool on any object. But obviously if you're grabbing this herb off the ground, it should probably modify the object you're harvesting. So removing this or making it smaller, or changing its color, like giving it a cooldown before you can harvest it again, something like that. Or alternatively, it should modify the tool you're using. So maybe like hitting a rock with a pickaxe or something reduces its durability, or you use an apple on a campfire and it changes the apple that you use rather than doing something to the campfire. There's kind of two different systems to go with there, but haven't built those in yet. I think they'll be cool though. We're getting some birch logs. I kind of want... It's hard to click on the guys that are dancing, which is the worst part. I feel like if they did this like a third of the magnitude of movement, it would be so much better. Alright, these guys hold a hint of warmth, shimmer with a faint light. The zephyr leaves float gently in the air. So neither of those herbs are really doing much. Maybe we can try... We got blush bloom. Is that what we did? No. So here's a new one. Blush bloom. Lavendream is probably a good one. Let's see what blush bloom does. Delicate flowers. Okay. What if we use a bucket on it? Get some related things. We're trying to craft potions that help with like one NPC's anxiety, one NPC's eyesight, and one's like curse with his shadow, I think it was. So let's try a couple different tools on each of these, see what we get, and see if anything is related to any of those. Blush bloom petals. All right, so more of that. I think one other thing that we probably want is some sort of notes that you can check for what each NPC previously said. We saw that earlier about we accidentally closed the window when somebody talked and we didn't know what they said. All right, flower, please stop dancing. I just want to click on you. I don't understand. All right, cool. But yeah, it'd be cool to be able to see, like, check your notebook for what each NPC said their problem was. So when you're out in the field like this, you can refer back. But lavendream petals used in potions and elixirs, that's really generic. Maybe we can make some sort of other tool. Clay and bamboo, what do we get here? And let's check and see if there are any other herbs that we haven't checked out. Pottery case, not quite what we want. Maybe check the cactus. We'll keep hunting down more stuff. Zephyr leaf. Breeze balm. That sounds like it might be helpful. If we can click on it. Oh boy, that's a bad one. Alright, let's try this. A thorned staff. Okay, not helpful again, but I think we need like twigs and sticks in order to get better tools. Let's try with our bare hands on this guy, if we can click him once again. I wonder if the collider is also moving with it. No. Okay, so it should actually be pretty easy to click if I can just... Okay, yeah. Easy. Just going to make a few more items while we wait just to see if we get any more tools. Let's see. Breeze Balm Flower. Known for its soothing scent and gentle healing properties. That is way closer to what we're looking for. So we'll probably get a couple things related to that. And maybe pick up a bunch of that. We probably... we definitely want to link up these objects to the skill systems that we built. So you'll also be getting like experience while doing this, but I feel like that is probably not going to make it into this first version in the Steam demo. But maybe it will. We'll see. But that's on the horizon as well. Let's use a couple more tools on this, see if we can get some other Breeze Balm adjacent things that might be good in potions. Chopped Breeze Balm leaves. We're known for their healing properties. That'd probably be great. We got that from using an axe on the Breeze Balm, I believe. Yeah. Let's see here. All right. So we also need our Codex object view item name should truncate, not wrap. So needs expanded and expand here. So chopped Breeze Balm leaf should go across instead of falling down like that. We'll fix that up. All these tooltips are working. Cool, cool, cool. Let's use a couple more tools on this. The salve is going to be nice, I would say. Starting to get a few more recipes filling in. It'd be really nice to have images of the objects, but I feel like that'll be a whole ordeal of like loading in a model so you can take a 2D representation and build the image, so we don't need to manually add images for every object, but we'll see. Breeze Balm Sap, known for its healing properties and refreshing scent. Now that's interesting, because one of them actually, we told them we would get them a something to make them smell better, so that'll probably be perfect. So with that, maybe we can find something to mix with that. There's a lot of herbs over here, so let's see what all we've got. Anything new? This stupid effect looks so silly. I think it looks maybe better from a different angle. Yeah, maybe I'll just disable the the shader movement altogether. That's ridiculous. Look at this guy. Huh. Where's your collider? Blush Bloom Flower. I guess we already used our axe and our bucket on it, but we can try a chisel on it too. See if we get anything new. I guess we could use pottery vase on it as well. Could be a little fun thing. We'll see, we'll see. Okay, I'm getting something nice. I'm realizing one small little nice thing we might do. If you'll notice, if we take items, any objects, and bring them up here and are like crafting with them and stuff, if we close our inventory window and reopen it, they're still up there. We might want to just do a little, when you close the window, if there's anything in these two slots or these two slot or this slot, add them back to the inventory. I want to double check that that'll be fine. I think it will. Like this, there's nothing in the slot right now. So if you were to close this inventory window, there would probably be something there when you reopened it. So it'd be a little bit funky there, but should be fine. The intent is there. Did this error out? Why is it taking so long? These are just UI errors, so I'm not worried about them. But I wonder if... Did I break something by trying to craft while the inventory was closed? We will test that. And we'll also say move inventory crafting slot items back to inventory when window is closed. All right, that should be enough for us to kind of blow through and do a bunch of those. Let's head back to town, see if we can give some potions to the people who needed them. We can start off. Ooh, yeah, maybe we can't because we borked our crafting, but maybe it'll still work. Let's try. So we got refreshing scent here. I think we bought some mint, some aloe. Maybe that'll help. So if I craft again, it probably loads this in, starts the crafting. But will it? You're already combining items. Okay, so yeah, we did bug it out. That's unfortunate. Hopefully this test case is able to replicate it so we can fix it. But that means we'll probably not be able to craft some items until we reset. So let's go ahead and let's talk to Nia. The summary says animals are avoiding her. She has a strange scent. You want to cleanse her scent. So we're going to give her the Breeze Balm Sap, known for its healing properties and refreshing scent. That seems perfect for her. So you just, ooh. All right, that's something we should fix as well. Dragging an item to give it to an NPC should only give one of that item. But bright side is that did help her. So player gave their Breeze Balm Sap. The item solved the problem. That's a little debug for us as admins. Breeze Balm Sap you've given me is exactly what I've needed. Its calming, fragrant nature has already begun to lift whatever curse or scent was repelling the animals. I can see a rabbit approaching me without fear. Wow. Your expertise in alchemy is truly remarkable. Thank you, I'm overjoyed and so grateful. So now we can close this window. And under the hood, she's updating all of her values and game state and blah, 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 all that jazz. If we talk to her again, we get the summary saying we were able to help her. We helped her with Breeze Balm Sap. Ooh, that's not right. We want to make sure. Conversation summary triggers after completing a quest successfully. Alright, so that gives us plenty to work on. So what we're gonna do is start from the top. Auto-scrolling, conversations. That should be a quick one. We'll just rock on through. I think I'll also turn on some music at this point. We'll time-lapse it in real time, I guess. But I'm ready to bop along to some stuff. Let's see what we got. Spotify. Sorry for the headphones, viewers. And I'm going to double check this time that Background music is not coming through. Perfect. I did not just deafen anyone. Oh, right. It's because my source is set to this guy. So we actually want this guy to play the music because that's what pipes the audio through. Adjust that volume. Now, background music. Alright, behind the scenes. Here's the fix, y'all. Background music is set up. It is playing. Nothing's coming through. Literally just select something else. Select it again. Didn't work that time. Let's see here. Well, I'm getting nice music, but we'll get this sorted out. Oh. It literally just didn't select it because it was grayed out or something. There we go. I think you can probably hear it now. Oh. Perfect. Enjoy. Why not throw some of these bad boys in too? Oh boy. Alright, now we roll. So, first up on the list. Let's do this first since it's literally just a number change. We want NPC window. So our conversation container, talk tab content, scroll view. Scroll sensitivity, 64. Cool. So that's probably good. Let's do a little T for test. But now we want to do the auto scroll. So that's actual real code. So we've got a nice flow here for interacting with LLMs, for generating a lot of the conversation, for generating the suggested responses, for generating the player's responses based on the suggested summaries that they select. But this guy should be scrolling to the end already. But I'm wondering if redraw conversation history isn't being called when the player clicks on a canned response. So here's our callback when they click on one of the two options of like suggest this or ask about this. We generate what the player actually says to do that. Set up our callback to call on player input submitted, which is the same callback as when they type their own message. So does call redraw conversation history, which does call scroll to end of conversation. Let's check it out. turn these bad boys back off so they don't default on. And I see Windows open as false here. So that's, I thought it would be true, which is why this guy, if we did set that default to true, this would make a lot of sense. So we might have to dig for why that is happening as well. Maybe we're not setting it to true when we do open the thing. I don't want to do that. Alrighty, so before we talk to a guy, our NPC window is still not open. Cool. Okay. I think what we want to do, maybe let's just play in here so we can inspect stuff. But if we talk to this guy, we are generating the original conversation. We're scrolling to the end. We can continue past that. Cool, cool, cool. We're redrawing again. Doesn't seem correct, but it doesn't seem... Oh, we redraw after we suggest these things. Okay. Tell me a really long poem. We want to get some scrolling going. Let's continue on these. All right, so interestingly, we're trying to redraw before we even add the message, unless this is a weird like debug issue where the frame hasn't redrawn yet. We've made the changes, but the code is running. So let's continue through that. Okay. And then we are generating our canned responses. So that should have scrolled to the end already. It didn't. And my fix would have been to add a delay until the end of the frame and then set the position to the end. However, now that we've updated the frame and we're on the next frame, if this also auto scrolls to the end, that'll work. But if this doesn't auto scroll to the end, then it will not work. So we update the canvas, which I think we do have our canned responses down there. And then when we run this, our position is basically 1 right now. Did not change. Now it's 0. Huh, okay. So it scrolled us... it scrolled us to where the end would have been before we added the additional text, I believe. So right now, we get about this much space. So if we say, let's just literally paste in a long message. If we paste all this in, it's going to be longer than this space, I think. So we should expect, if our logic is correct, to auto scroll to about like here-ish. and then get the canned responses afterwards. So I'm just going to do that, make sure I'm understanding the bug correctly. So we auto-scrolled kind of a little bit further, I think, because there's a padding. Yeah, it seems like we're auto-scrolling correctly minus like the padding or something. It's always almost to the end. So what we need to do... Let's... I know there's a way to wait until end of frame. Wait for end of frame. In an enumerator, though. I mean, I guess we could do that. Might be fine. I just don't know the implications of that. Might be a little jumpy. We want to make sure it's scrolled. We don't want to show the message and then immediately scroll it and get that jump. Right, that's what we should do. Right, right. But the problem is that we're updating the content of the scroll rect in the same frame that we're doing this normalized position. So the dimensions of the scroll rect don't update yet because we haven't drawn it into the UI. So we're scrolling to the bottom of where the previous dimensions were and then redrawing it on the screen, which updates the dimensions, which have a different bottom than this. And that's why scroll to top would work, because the top is always the same, but the number of pixels down to the bottom changes when you update the contents. Yeah, we could put it in a coroutine and wait for the end of the frame. I'm just a little worried that we'll get the jittery display and then jump, which we don't want to get. I think that's actually what we did in our first demo. I think we did fix that, but we had a typewriter effect and we had auto scroll for that. Yeah. Which when you talk to an NPC and it would scroll the rect, it would jump to the end. Even when it line wrapped too, it was a little funky. Just want to see this conversation, see if it does it when we get to the very end. But if you guys haven't seen it, this is our original systems demo for this game, which was pretty fun. We got like 7,000 people playing it one weekend. Okay, auto scroll is working, so I might go look at that code. But yeah, this is basically the same like systems. You've got all your NPCs, they have quests generated. You've got all your items, you can combine items. So needle and thread and leather makes leather armor. You got foraging, which is like our whole world now. You got your codex for all the recipes, and you have a single store. Now every NPC has their own items. They change those over time and so on. So we really just took this and expanded it pretty intensely. But I think it definitely improved it because the two sides of the coin of this game are the questing, which we've created way more NPCs and given them more like personalities and ongoing quests versus just single quests all the time. And Andrew's doing a bunch of cool work on that. But also the crafting. In addition to adding just combining items, we also added like workstations that you can manipulate your items in certain ways. You can use one item on another item instead of like combining the two items, which is a subtle distinction but gives you a lot more control over what you're making on purpose. Just lots and lots of stuff for the crafting system to give you a lot more control to create the specific item you're imagining that each NPC needs, which I think is key to kind of unlocking that creativity and having a fun loop there of talking to someone, learning about their problem, being like, ooh, I wonder if this would help, and going and making that item in a game where it might not even exist. But yeah, I just wanted to check the auto scroll here. It looks like it is working, so let's see if we can figure out what we're missing. Yeah, scrolls to the bottom before the scroll bar has been updated to account for the updated enlarged content. Yield until the end of the frame, then set it. Okay, so I mean, everyone's suggesting we do this, so maybe that's what we do. We'll just stick this in a iframe, or not an iframe, an enumerator. We only have 2 references to it, so yeah, it'll be fine. We might not even need to force update the canvases, which will help a little bit with performance too. Maybe. Maybe. Alright. Will anybody explain this? Might have to wait 2 frames. Interesting. Alright, we can't do this because they're just driving the text, single text object size, but we have a lot of those and want to have other objects as well. But that'd be nice if it was just a single text box though. I had to wait 3 frames. Oh no, we might as well just wait until the end of the game to scroll. Oof. There's no way this is reliable code to use. So it's just setting the fitters and the layout manually. Probably using internal functions, which we can't really rely on, but might work in our current version of Unity. Oh, they're even extending UIX. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I'm happy waiting a frame or 2 or something, maybe. We'll try putting it in a coroutine. I'm just reading through the rest of the thread to see if we can know what's going to work and what's not. Yeah, I mean, there is the case of you're scrolled up in the conversation on purpose, like you auto scroll to the bottom. You want to scroll back up to read something while you wait for the new message, and it auto scrolls you back down to the bottom. I think that's fine. Okay, we're gonna do this, I think. I don't think that is... I mean, this would be a nice solution if it works. But actually, that's a property on... Oh, the content. Okay, let's take a look. So we're gonna scroll up a little bit. Content. Pivot of 0.5. That's some funky magic right there. Yeah, why would that work? Also, that's the x coordinate. If anything, it should be on the y coordinate. Yeah. No thanks. All right, so let's grab... Not that. Let's grab this guy. Get our magic 4 lines, I suppose. This guy. High enumerator. And this guy now needs to be in a coroutine. And our other reference also does. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah, we can just reset it. All right, Mr. Braun. Hi, I am Braun. Don't worry about that. All right, Farron. Tell me a long poem. Lots of new lines. There was a little bit of a jump there, I think. I want to watch it closer. Okay, that was fine. This was fine. We click. We let auto scroll correctly. Yeah, there is definitely a flash, which I don't like. Okay, flash and no auto scroll. It's auto scrolling the exact same way. It's still the same amount. So what we're gonna do is, instead of this interesting hack, We will revert to what we had. We will go to our content container and we set a bottom spacing of 160. Easy peasy solution. Tell a joke to Bond and then inquire about apprenticeships. Did you hear about the fire at the shoe factory? Many souls were lost. But speaking of heat, Brom, ever thought about taking on a slightly singed apprentice to learn the secrets beyond your legendary crafting? Hey, that auto-scrolled, right? Let's see it again. Yeah, it auto-scrolls down and then kind of like rubber bands back up, which I think is fine. We need more of it though, I think. But this looks like a good direction to go in. I don't mind the little rubber band up. It might be nice to kind of indicate, hey, there's a new message. We just need to increase that padding, I think, because we probably also, let's increase the padding up to 190, but let's also say we want to decrease the size of our suggested messages, I think. So I want to see if we're using the same prefab there or different ones. After we've generated our canned responses, we are instantiating a canned response summary prefab. Excellent. So that's going to be canned response summary here. Let's drop this font size down to like 28. So we get fewer line wraps and we can be a little denser with suggested responses and also differentiate them a little bit in the UI, I think. So let's see how small they look here. All right, that's too small, but we can tweak it with a little bit. So messages are 36. If these guys were 32, might be a little better. Could even keep 36 on the header. Oops. Well, let's see it again, I suppose. So let's say 32 or 36. These guys are 32. I think that looks fine. I don't know why I'm running around when I Alt-Tab back in. Let's try this once more. If I double-click that, it's a mouse down effect. Okay. You know, this is fine. And I think we could probably keep this 32 as well. Maybe. So first guy, let's do header.getComponent text mesh pro dot size, font size equal to 36, and then we'll default the other ones to 32. I think the header being the same size is good. $32 is a little nicer on that though. Okay. So let's make sure our auto scrolling is looking good now. And also the scroll amount feels good. Yeah, these feel a lot better, I think, just being a little bit smaller. They still wrap a little bit, but I think that's fine. Yeah, we got a little bit of flashing. Still not auto-scrolling enough on the canned responses. But we do auto-scroll enough with our own responses, I think. Yeah. I mean, that did just fine. Oh, it's because only one of them wrapped. So if we get one where they both wrapped, it's probably not enough. So we can just increase the size a little bit more. It's probably nicer to have the text a little further up like this, just so we're not overwhelming the player with a wall of text and they can always scroll back up to read stuff. But if it's like this, then it's a lot easier to see at a glance. So let's try, okay, that's a good scroll size with the scroll wheel. That's cool. Let's up our scroll amount by a lot. This guy, we'll just bump right up to 300. Let's test that once. It's probably plenty, maybe too much, but you know, it's fine. We'll see if it can be too much. So blah, blah, blah. Ask about this, ask about that. It's a good height for stuff, I'd say. It does have that minor flicker, though, on some cases. But I think this is fine. This looks a lot better. We could even go up to like 500 height, I bet. Maybe we will, just to provide a little more padding. Let's see how that looks. I don't want to spend forever on literally just this small thing, but I guess we are a small thing stream today. Just getting things looking nice. We should have the NPCs turn to you when you talk to them. Let's add that to our list. Okay, let's get a little more conversation going. Yeah, I guess the downside of pushing things up so far is we didn't handle the case where somebody is like scrolled back up to read something while generating a message, because it's going to scroll them back down to the end. So maybe we will stick to like 300, 350 on padding so we don't push everything out of the way. It's also a little jarring when it goes up like that and then rubber bands back down when there's so much room. So we'll just do 300, I think. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. So auto scroll conversations, I would say, is done for the stream. The scroll rate is done. Let's go look at how hard it'll be to disable changing our hotbar scrolling when we are specifically scrolling a scroll rect. So that's going to be up in our HUD. We've got our target info bar, interaction bar. Right, that's not the right one. We need our hotbar menu. Tool belt, controller. And here, oh, I see. Second frame start, that makes sense. I was like, why are we doing this? This is funky. But it's literally just a start that happens on the second frame of the game, so we can default after the UI is drawn. Cool. Rotate selected slot with scroll wheel. Don't rotate if the control button is pressed. Is that, have I just been doing that without realizing that's how I'm zooming in and out? Probably so. Yeah, I guess I didn't even realize I was holding control. Just a little muscle memory, I suppose. All right, so that disables scrolling when you do that. We also want to don't rotate through slots if the mouse is hovering over a UI scroll rect. So this will work for all UI components. I don't think that's what we want. So let's let's see how it feels with all UI. Probably nice to be consistent. I was wondering, I mean, we could probably just fire a raycast, and as long as the scroll rect has raycast target enabled on it, we could get the object that we hit with the raycast, assuming it's the topmost UI element. There's a lot of funky stuff we can do, but this is a nice one-line fix for really just solving if you're in your UI and you're scrolling your scroll wheel, it doesn't change your tool belt. But if you are out in the world, it does. So it might be a little bit weird for someone to not be able to change it from here, or even when they're like hovering over this. But I think that's less weird than when you're scrolling in like a conversation and it's changing. So other things we could do are like when you open an NPC window or something, we could have a public method to lock the tool belt and then unlock it when you close that window or something. But this will be fine for now, I'd say. If players don't like it, they can let me know. Cool. That was easy. Just say UI then. All right. X on our conversation windows needs double clicked. Great. I bet in our NPC window, control buttons, exit button, we have toggle window open here. We know that if you're clicking the exit button, you want to hide it. We had toggle just to be clever when that was the only method we have, but now we have hide window. And that should work with just click. Just one click. So let's test that. We open a window, we close a window. We open a window, we close a window. We open a window, and we close a window. That was a fun bug. If you open a window of this guy, it's going to start generating canned responses to what he says. If you quickly close the window and open a window of somebody else, then it's going to use that window to put this guy's canned responses in. And also have canned responses to this guy. Let's make sure that that is the case. Also, excuse me. Burn down my workshop. All right, let's try this a little faster. Actually, we can probably just double click, yeah. So that's 2. What we should do is on window close, we should stop any existing coroutines for that window. But we did this. All right, let's go see what's next in the NPC window manager. We have a fancy callback on window hide. Are we storing our coroutine? No. Okay. So let's save some of those. And then there's probably other coroutines we're doing that we can just kill when they close the window, but it might be nice to let them go. As long as they save the data to like the conversation history. Like if you walk up to an NPC and say, "Yo man, I hate your hat," and then immediately close that conversation, it'll generate a response from the guy and add it as if he had said it back to you. But you missed it. So you as a player, I guess, should assume that he didn't say anything back to you. So yeah, we should probably kill that coroutine too. This guy here. Private coroutine. Response from NPC. Cool. And then on window hide, kill any active coroutines. Coolio. And we just need to save those, so that guy and this guy. We also have, yeah, we should clear that too. If you click on a response to say to the guy, and we're generating your message of what to say, but we haven't generated that message yet, you close the window. We should assume that you as a player did not actually say the thing that you were going to say. Player response from can. We'll clear that one as well. And what do we got here? I mean, there's some coroutines left over about like quest stuff, but we probably want to let those let those go. Like if you give them an item, we fire off a coroutine to generate data on whether that item solves their quest. Also a coroutine for how they respond to you. Also a coroutine for their like quest rewards, stuff like that. So all those should probably still happen even if you walk away. Because if an NPC is like, hey, I really need some face cream, you walk up to him, drag your face cream in, close the window, and leave. The next time you talk to him, he should say, like, thanks for the face cream, and not, man, I really need some face cream. Because you did give them the item, I guess, so we'll leave all those. Cool. So let's go double check that this worked. We were able to reproduce this bug by talking to one guy and immediately talking to another guy real fast to get double canned responses on the second guy. Let's just do that. Talk to this guy. Talk to this guy. Will we get 1 or 2 can? Oh, right. We're not actually calling on close because we're not closing the window. We're just repopulating the window with new data. So actually, we should probably always call close. We could always call close at the beginning of showing, just to make sure the window is properly reset if you were to have it already open when you click on somebody again. We probably do want to fire off all those close things. So let's see how that looks and feels. And maybe we should also, I was going to say we could click on things on our tool belt to select them. We probably should do that. Just so you can like click on your axe to switch to it instead of having to scroll to it, especially now that you can't scroll on UI. So we'll add click on tool belt to switch to. That'll be nice. Just an extra way to select it. All right, so talk to this guy. Talk to this guy. 1 or 2 canned responses. Wow. Okay. You know what? I wonder if window show is also not firing because the window is already open. Yeah. Okay. Do we want that? For example, if we talk to this guy, there's stuff happening or there's stuff not happening. If we click on this guy again, it should reset the dialogue, right? Not just do nothing. Like, this is resetting it every time. I think that's fine. You can click on him again to get new suggestions. You could go click on like the statue to get different example prayers probably. Like, I think logically, if you click on something to open a panel, so strike down my foes with your guidance. Yeah, we should probably, like if you click on this again, it should redraw the window. So basically close it and reopen it. I wonder if that's going to break things though. One way to find out. And then, I wonder this would be an infinite loop if we're calling. No, this should be fine too, but so when you hide the window, we should never have a case where we're calling hide window when it's already closed. Though maybe we will, just for our own code sanity sake later, of like just hide everything, make sure it's all closed. I could see myself doing that. So maybe we should keep this little check for if it's not actually closed, don't do the hide callback, but most of the time it shouldn't matter, I'd say. So let's just try with the callback on show enabled all the time. Let's see how that feels when we go like reopen conversations, reopen the statue window, that sort of thing. When you reopen your chest, it would just redraw the chest. So now we should, yeah, we get a different example prayer every time we talk to the statue, which is fine. It's just like closing it and reopening it, which somebody might want to do for some reason, but now you don't have to actually close and reopen, I'd say. And this guy, if we open it, we get our canned responses. We open it, we get new canned responses each time. Okay. So I guess even just talking to the same guy twice is a good way to replicate the bug too. So let's... Yeah, okay. So why though? Let's not call hide, but let's have a... I wonder if we also need to be resetting these coroutines, like setting them back to null at the end. Probably not. But let's do all this here. But let's also do it when we show the window. And let's also say, nice little error here, callback for show fired. Just make sure it's still firing when we're opening the window when it's already open. So we'll disable our infos. We should see it once when we open this. This is not firing at all. I mean, that explains why things are funky, but I don't trust it. Because UI window, show window should always fire that. And we have a panel trigger component on our NPCs, on mouse down. Interact is called when you're finally close enough to interact with them. And interact calls show window, which should call callback on window show. But while we're here, maybe we don't do that globally. Maybe we have a flag for whether the object should turn to face the player also. Turn that true for NPCs. That ain't right. Wait a sec. Yeah, that's right. Why do we have this face object when we can just look at? It's because we don't want to do 3 dimensions. We want to make sure, like, if something was up here, you just face towards it instead of up like that. We can revisit that. But we are connected. Let's go toggle that flag on for a NPC or 2. Let's say this guy. Generic interactable NPC. Wait. It's not a panel trigger. That's the statue. Okay. Right. That makes... Right. Okay. So let's remove that. Generic interactable NPC subclass. Here. It's been a while since I've been in this code. We mocked out our introduction message, but we're still getting it. I'll need to double check that that's the case. But interact, here we go. Okay, so NPCs will always turn to face you. We probably want that. And then that's where we trigger generating and showing canned responses on the NPC window manager instead of on window show, which is interesting. Maybe because window show was never firing. Oh. And that's why. Show window. And I think we'll want to move this to on window show for NPC windows. So let's kill that. So now, if we still get the canned responses, the on window show callback is firing. And our bug should be fixed. And NPCs will turn to face the player now. We still gotta trigger like animations and stuff, but YOLO. It's whatever. So, let's go right in here behind this guy. Okay, callback is firing. I'm gonna just cycle through. Oh, we need to give him a turn speed though. But I think it'll work. NPC window is inactive. Is this where we set it active? Yeah. Okay, so we gotta do that after we enable the window. Alright, let's disconnect from Unity. Let's just see it all at once. I wonder... Let's say private float, public float, turn radius, like 3 baseline. And let's see if we can incorporate that. Right, not turn radius, turn speed. Oh, wow. No, that's not right. And that's also just not right. This dot transform dot. Guess we could stick it in a coroutine. Yeah, let's just do that. Private enumerator turn towards transform target float turn speed. So this would mean if the player is here, the NPC is facing that way. We trigger it and they start turning to get to the player. It would also mean the player could move during the turn and they would keep chasing the player until they get to the player. So that's kind of fun. Not really useful, but sure. Turn towards players transform with turn speed. Sure, that's fine. And we could save that coroutine to make sure we're not triggering multiple of them, which would give some really funky movement. But we're going to just bank on not writing bugs, because why would we? And therefore, we don't need to do that. So let's go try this again. Things we're testing are NPC turning around and looking at us, not instantly. We want to make sure that their introductory message is actually an introductory message and not, hello, I am blah, the blah. I am personality. So let's, will you turn to look at me? Oh, okay, I like that, I like that. Hello, I am blah, the blah. I am personality. Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. We could even like hard code their introductions. For the first time the player talks to them, it might be a good way to set the tone of conversations instead of just generating that first message off things. But instead, we could do it more of a like system message type vibe. So if we give them an item, we get this nice gray text. We could have a starting gray text of their personality, and then they introduce themselves. That's probably what we want to do, because it's also a little weird that we have two separate messages at the very beginning of introduction quest. So let's go ahead and see how we roll with this. Add queued message for conversation. Yeah, we can just say private void. Actually, we don't even need to. Let's take both of these. So we'll replace this whole block, including the thing we mocked out originally. And let's say persona system message persona.profession, and that's all. Then we can just start generating the quest. So when the game first loads, we add this as a message in the conversation history that the player can immediately see, and we start kicking off that coroutine to generate their quest. So by the time the player talks to them, hopefully they have a quest, but otherwise we still need to handle what happens when you talk to somebody and they don't have anything new to say anyway. But it's another day's problem. Let's see how this looks, and let's add it to our list of NPC introductions are now system messages. So, oh yeah, we need to test that the canned responses don't double up when we reopen the window. But I think it will now that we're calling show window instead of just setting the transform active or the game object active. And conveniently, this change also cuts in half the number of AI generations for all the NPCs at the start of the game, which is nice. Instead of generating introductions and their first message for everyone, now we're just generating their first message, which has their quest in it. Blacksmith. Right. We don't want profession. We want personality or something. Personality? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's going to be a lot nicer, I'd say. We might even be able to skip out the personality altogether, but it might be nice for at least the coroutine, the early demo, so players can see like a more immediate, this is their personality, instead of having to talk to them a bunch over time to learn about their personality. Brahm is as dependable as the sturdy armor he crafts. We aren't getting canned responses still. I'm wondering if we need to wait until like the end of the frame for that. Oh, you know what it is. Callback on window show is called before we actually set the game object active. So what we're gonna do is also have more complexity. Callback after window show. And we will rename this guy to callback before window show. And we can just use this format. If it becomes an issue that we're calling this every time you load the window, we could have like a callback on new window show or something like that, or whatever. But this lets us say in our interactable NPC, when we set wherever this code was, generate and show canned responses for player. Yeah, callback before window show. We're just going to move that to callback after window show because our object is active now. We can start coroutines with it as the parent. And maybe we do this as well. There's still technically a raise condition because the in-progress coroutines are what doubles up the canned responses. And there is time between showing the window and here when we clear it. So technically if the coroutine completes after we open the tab and show it, but before we clear the in-progress one, you should still add it to the conversation history, which gets drawn in, but it's a small bug. We don't need to worry about that for now. Let's test that we now get canned responses and we don't get doubled up canned responses. I like the NPCs turning to you when you talk to them though. That's a small thing that helps a lot, I'd say. All right, Braun. Good turning. Will we get canned responses? We do. Okay. So if we close this and talk to you twice, 1 canned response. Nothing. Okay. So that looks fixed. It is a little bit odd that when we open this, okay, it scrolls correctly. Okay, so let's also test. We talked to Braun, and then this guy should be 1 canned response. We'll give it a sec. Farron is a towering figure. Well, that ain't right. And that isn't even the AI's fault. Farron is a stout figure. All right, well, that looks like it's all working. NPC introductions are system messages, which is nice. Canned responses don't double up either when you talk to multiple NPCs at once, or close a window, open another window, or talk to the same NPC twice. Cool. So all these look knocked out. We've got more to do. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back, and then we'll knock out the rest of these. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for being so great. Be right back. We're back. And we still got the James. Alrighty. Back at it again in the code. So our Mr. Guy at the back has no profile image. I'm going to generate that off stream, just because it'll probably take me a while to get it looking the way I like it. I do some touch-ups and other stuff for each of them too, but we can just make sure that I didn't already generate an image for them. I have one in my head. I wonder if we assigned it to this guy. Yeah, that's the one I was picturing. So yeah, we just need to generate a second guard image, I'd say. I can do that. Let's knock out the other stuff. I'll separate that out. All right. Codex object view item name should truncate, not wrap. And expand. That should be a pretty quick one as well. Let's go look at our codex window. It'd also be nice. Add quests to codex. Maybe a little people window or something. We probably want that for notes and stuff. I feel like the codex window is just going to get insanely complicated. But luckily, we're experts in UI, and we will make it understandable. So we've got our codex window. In that window, we have objects. So do our object index. No, it's object detail is what we want. And this guy, she knocking over my stuff. This guy, content, scroll view, viewport, content, harvest recipe row. I will expect this text mesh is not wide. Haha. Wow. Surely that's long enough for anyone. But we will go ahead and add truncation too, if that's an option. Truncate. All right. So we will label that to test. This could be a big bug. Let's test that while we're also testing and getting a really long item name for making sure that stuff is working. Alrighty, so we saw when we craft, if we craft something and close it. That's what we did to break it last time. I'm going to leave it closed for a minute even, because I want to give it plenty of time to make sure that the creation completes while the window is closed. Then when I open the inventory, I think what's happening is it crafted. It didn't craft correctly, because if we try and craft something else, it says you're already crafting something, I bet. Yeah. So this will take some tracing, I guess. In our inventory window manager. No. Let's go look at what we're working with. Crafting area, combining two items, combine items button calls, item combining controller. So here's what happens. Window is open. We craft a new item. It is valid, so we continue on. There's no recipe, so we kick off a coroutine to generate what those items create. And we immediately consume one of each and redraw those displays. So in here, make sure that this is not null, which is probably a nice big hint at what's going wrong here because it's not resetting to null, but we'll get to that. So we are generating that recipe for the two items. We trigger our little animation. We build the recipe in the game as a placeholder because it doesn't have an output item yet. And then we kick that off to our engine to generate what those two items produce. All this is good. I think what's going to happen is when we close the window, I wonder if it's killing the coroutine that is doing this. Although that wouldn't make sense given the bugs we were literally just fixing. Okay, so what happens here? We get our item data back. Then we generate an image for it, which doesn't really, it's not relevant. It's just taking more time for this. When we have the image, we continue on. We got the image data as base64 string, which we convert back, but blah, 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 make the image. Then we are adding it to the result slot, which I bet doesn't work when the window is closed. And here's where we're resetting the end progress recipe. But we aren't getting here because we know that it is not null based on our error message of already combining items. So we might need to trace through here. Yeah, this is never firing because we're also not. Yeah, I wonder if the coroutine is just being destroyed. Okay, until the next yield. Interesting. Huh. You can stop using stop coroutine, stop all coroutines. That might be helpful where we have all our coroutines. I bet this is it because the item combining controller lives on the inventory window, which gets disabled when you hide the window. And the coroutine probably continues until it completes, but it can't start another coroutine. Wonder if we even got an error. No? Okay. Well, we'll just trace through and make sure things are happening the way we expect. Start combination. Got response. Generate image and got image. So this doesn't fire. I expect this to not fire. And probably this also doesn't fire. But this does. And then this coroutine. This might fire. So, acorn aluminum. This isn't going to quite work. We need to kill this breakpoint, I think, but let's just make sure it does what we're expecting at the start. Yeah. Okay, when I hit play here, oh, well, I guess this doesn't have the coroutine started yet. We'll need to nix this breakpoint as well. But let's give it a shot. So that's where we're setting our in progress recipe generation. I'll hit continue here and close the window. And we'll see if any other breakpoints fire. But I don't think they will. Because this never gets called. I mean, we could require you to leave your inventory open while crafting. Kind of like lock the UI or something. I don't know what the good thing to do here is. If you craft something and then close your inventory. Like, the ideal is probably to undo the crafting, right? Because you want to be able to see the response. But I don't necessarily... I mean, we can't adjust stack +1 because sometimes you clear the stack and the item gets cleared as well. I don't want to wait until the crafting is done to consume the items because I want them to disappear, I want an animation to happen, and then I want an item to appear. Just to make it clear those items are being consumed to make this. Maybe we... An item combining controller is what has this guy, which is what we would want to check to see if it's not null in our inventory window manager. Or even to reset it to null and call back on window hide. Not sure the best approach here. Other than spilling water on myself. Yeah, we almost need like this class to register a callback on window hide within this class. Or we need to combine the two. So really our options here are to lock the UI to be open while crafting alchemy, or to nix whatever crafting you're doing when you close the UI as if you didn't start it. I guess we could do that because we do have this in progress recipe generation, which does have the 2 ingredients. So we could add those back to your inventory, 1 of each. Clear the in progress recipe generation and clear the other stuff. Maybe that's the best approach. There's probably like a Diablo 1-esque item duplication glitch in there if you are able to close the window at the exact frame that you add the resulting item to its output slot, because it'll add that, and also in this separate bit of code it'll re-add the ingredients back to your inventory. But you know, if players want to get real good at glitches, sure, why not? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have private item combining controller on our window manager, and then before window show, on window hide, we're gonna say if the item combining controller is in progress, what can is happening? Add 1 of each ingredient back to the player's inventory and clear the in progress recipe. We want to make sure we're not also, I know we create this temporary recipe that we don't have a result yet for. Okay, we're not saving it to the recipe database until it's complete though. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we can do this. So we will say in progress recipe generation is that. Probably need to make it internal maybe. What's it called? Right. And yep. Can we get it that way? Yes. So add those ingredients back. And now we can say that is equal to null. We also want to reset any animations that we've done, which are placeholders right now. But that's what I want. So that's where we trigger the animation. Let's make some nice wrappers for like show alchemy animation. So now in our window manager, we can also clear that as well. So that should fix that. Additionally and separately, we also want to add any of the items in the crafting inventory slots back to the inventory. those are ingredient slot A and B. And all 3 slots. So if ingredient slot, oh, that's on the item combining controller. Yeah, this is more evidence that these should probably be the same component and not split in half, but we'll come back to that. Item combining controller dot ingredient slot A dot empty has item. What the heck is the get item? Inventory slot manager. Contains item. I'm never going to remember that. But I'm not going to remember if I rename either. Dot contains item. Then we want to add it back to the player inventory and clear it from this slot. Add the full stack back and clear it from the slot. Okay. Dot clear held item. Same with ingredient slot B, and also if the player left anything in the output, which is called result slot. Cool. Let's test that. So we want to test this. We also want to test this. Alrighty. Cactus axe, here we go. Craft close. You should, I guess we should have checked our, so we have stack of 1 and 3 in our first 2 inventory slots. 1 and 3. Okay, I didn't consume anything. We'll wait just a second to make sure we don't get anything, but we're able to craft again, so that bug is immediately fixed. That's great. We can now, closing the inventory just cancels whatever craft you're doing, which I think is fine. So if we do something like this, let's just make sure the crafting still works. We'll craft a few things to get a long object name. And we also know that when you close the window, it moves everything back. Let's make sure that that is the case though. Did we hit like a breakpoint? What's going on? Oh, we did. Okay, so we know that things are working. That's good. I wonder if there are more breakpoints. No, we can just disconnect. All right, so we got our bucket of apples. Great. Let's get a couple different stack sizes here. So we've got 3, 2, and 1. And then we'll close the inventory and make sure they all move correctly to the first 3 slots. Sculptor's carving set. Cool. So they should all get placed into the inventory. 3, 2, 1. Cool. And then let's just do that once more, like elsewhere in the inventory. So carving set's going to go at the beginning and stack with an existing item And the others will get added here. Nailed it. All right, so those look fixed. Coolio, coolio, coolio. And let's make a bee axe, obviously. Honey axe. So we'll take that honey axe. Let's go cut down some shade tree, get some shade honey maybe. I think we need to rebake our nav mesh. There's a lot of weirdities going on. Also, yeah, I think we had 3 separate recipe generations called there. Honeyed shade logs. Nice. Okay, one other bug that I think still exists is changing your tool while harvesting. Yes. If you change your tool, we probably want you to just keep harvesting with that tool. Alternatively, we could cancel the harvest. But I could see somebody want to like be harvesting, plan their next move while it's going, select the next tool so they can just click. Also, we've got some funkiness here where tooltips mean you're hovering over UI, so you can't change. We can fix that another time. I think when we add clicking to select a tool belt slot, that'll be a fine alternative that most people will probably use. And we'll probably also use number keys to switch to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So either of those will be fine. Scrolling might end up just being like zooming the camera or something, depending on if we can get it feeling good. Let's also say raycast max distance to object for tooltips. We'll come back to that later. But yeah, I guess the thing that we just did works. Next up, when we drag an item into an NPC, like these 5 acorns, we should only give them 1. Or we could give them a stack of 5 and then incorporate that into their prompt saying they got like 5 acorns or 10 swords or something. That would be the better play, I think, if we had the UI in place to be able to split stacks and stuff already, but we don't. So I think just giving them 1 item is probably fine for now. So let's do that. In our NPC window manager, we've got a method for receiving an item. Allegedly. Receive item stack. All right. So this gets called when you drag a stack of items into this window. With the item dragged in, how many of that item gets dragged in, and the item slot that that item came from. So all we need to do here is instead of receiving that full stack and adding it to their inventory, we will just receive 1 and we'll send quantity -1 back to item source. So we'll just hard code that in for now with a nice little variable to make it clear what's going on. And we will say, if we're accepting items, receive 1, and then we say, if the player dragged in a stack of more than, send the remainder back to the item source slot. Easy peasy. And then we just want to make sure that that slot's receive item stack doesn't limit its slot and try and send it back to this guy. But it shouldn't for inventory stuff. But, I mean, worst case, if you get that infinite loop back, it's just going to consume one at a time for this guy and try and solve the quest a bunch of times, I guess. But at least it won't be a proper infinite loop where it just goes back and forth forever. All right, so that should work. Let's test it, and let's also make sure that his inventory updates properly with just the one item. So if we go talk to Mr. Guy over here, who does not have any messages yet, doesn't need them. If we give him 4 coral, we now have 3 coral, and he has 0 coral. Interesting. Wait. Okay, yeah, that was for the conversation. For the inventory tab, if we give him all our coral, we sell it, and he has 3 coral. No stack limit there. But over yonder, let's give him 1 of our clays. He does not have clay. Okay. Oh, because we're not adding it to his inventory. Okay. Seems fine. We can just add it to his inventory. Will there ever be a case where you give him like a potion or something and then he says, oh, that fixed it, I drank it, and then you don't want to add it to their inventory? Probably. So maybe, let's say if the item is a consumable, he'll consume it. Otherwise, add it to his inventory. That's not at all correct, but item is an item. We just say if item dot item type is equal to consumable, or we don't even need that. Just so now sometimes the items that you give an NPC will appear in their inventory, and it probably will happen when it makes sense most of the time. If you give them a cool sword, he'll add it to his inventory. You could buy it back. If you give him a potion, he'll drink it and not add it to his inventory. So we'll test that, but that should be good now. But this looks like it's probably done. Let's just double check it. Dragging an item in should only give them 1. The others should get sent back to your slot. All right. So 6 apples, which are materials, not consumables. Now we have 5. He ate 1, or he has 1. It should be in his inventory now. I bet it is, but we didn't redraw the inventory. So if I buy something, yeah, it's there. Okay. So we also just want to double check if we drag in an item of stack 1, it's working as expected. And it looks like it is. And that also adds back to his inventory. Okay. Cool. Did we have anything else we needed to do with that? It just works, right? Nothing weird? Seems fine. Alright, NPCs do turn to you when you talk to them. Nice, nice. Easiest peasy of my life. Probably want a little like animation for sending the item back, but again, that's more UI polish. Not doing that yet. Yeah, I guess we can. I think I'm gonna hold off on the quest stuff because we're about to replace the brains in the next like couple weeks. So maybe I'll just leave that as a note for myself to test after we've swapped that system out. We can just skip ahead to clicking on tool belt slots to switch to that slot. So let's go take a look at our tool belt slots. We've got our tool belt container and we've got tool belt slot controllers. So an on-click event on this guy could probably tell this guy to switch to that slot. So let's try this real fast. Void on-click, on mouse down. Clicked slot. Game object dot name. They have different names, but we'll check references. So just want to make sure that that works and also doesn't fire when we're clicking to drag an item back. So let's look at this. Let's give it a sec for all our outputs to fire off. But if we drag in stufferinos, we have this selected. If we were to click axe, okay, nothing happens. I pointer click. Do we want click or down? Probably click, because down could turn into a drag. I bet click is not drag. Okay, let's make sure that that fires as we expect. click on tool belt slot 1, 2, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then I want to make sure that if we click to drag, okay. But, okay. Interesting. We're clearing the background image when we drag away. That's strange. But it's fine. Polish stuff. Coolio. So all we're going to do is tool belt slot controller. How do we get a reference to our tool belt controller? Is that on our player database? Tool belt controller. Coolio. So what we will do, tool belt controller, we'll just add a set active slot method that receives a game object. We could check to see like what child ID we are. You know, we'll just do that and then use our existing method. So we'll say int child ID of parent is equal to get sibling index. Okay. And then it's just player database dot instance dot toolbelt dot set active slot child ID of parent, and that should be 0 indexed. Yeah, okay. That'll handle the highlighting. Let's double check that that works. Click, 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 click. Neato. And it saves the current slot, so scroll wheel moves from there. Coolio. Alrighty, that's done. Add quests to codex. I don't know that we're going to stream that long. Let's leave that down as a little to do for me too. But what we could do is raycast that max distance. That is in the info controller, I think. Wait, no, that's on generic interactable world object on mouse enter. What we need to do here is check the distance from that object to the player. So we don't even need to fire off the raycast and deal with colliders and stuff like that. We can literally just do a transform comparison of the positions of both. So that's nice. And maybe we do vector2.distance just because we don't really care about the Y level difference. If like a tree is next to you but really tall up, like one of our trees is, we want to make sure that that distance is on the same plane instead of also factoring in height differences. So let's see if that works. So fine. We can say this might want to be something more for the higher level, like generic interactable entity, because we might want it on statues and NPCs and stuff. But like 99% of the time it's on objects in the distance, so we'll just do it on objects for now, and we can move it around later. And we'll just say float max distance to show tooltip is 500. I don't know if that's good, that's bad, or what, but let's check it out. I'm so tired. Alright, we got stuff in the distance now. It is still showing tooltips for most of them. Not all of them. So let's drop that down to like, well, yeah, I guess we can't really bring it up to a object property because we'd have to set it on everything manually to test in the inspector while playing. Let's bump it down to like 300. And you know what? Let's player controller gizmos. Oh, we don't have any gizmos? On draw gizmos. Draw a 300F yellow circle. It's just to help us visualize a little bit better. Maybe we set the like vision radius on the player itself and read it from here. But still tooltipping on everything. Except maybe these like dead trees over here. Okay, world tree is... Wait, I wonder... Is there a tree? Oh, that... I thought it was on the mountain over there. Okay, it's way closer than I thought. Alright, so that seems fine. Let's just look at what this radius looks like. 300. Just gotta select our player guy. RS player controller, that's right, but I think it's too big to see. Oh, maybe we don't have gizmos on. Okay, so yeah, it's still pretty darn large. Drop it, so it's probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 squares. So 3 squares would be 150. And 3 squares is still pretty darn large. So maybe we even do like 100. Let's do 140. We'll test that out. Just want to see, like, we're showing tooltips on all the stuff you can interact with, but we don't want stuff way off in the distance being like, interact with this oak tree? So all this stuff, if you can see it, you should probably be able to get that tooltip. So like this tree is a good example of, it'd be great probably to show that tooltip. Obviously you get one here, but when do we start seeing this? Okay, about here. So maybe like, yeah, I think we went too short. We'll just do like 200 on that. 250 even. So we cut it in half from 500, I guess. Let's just test that. Yeah. So you get the tooltip on this guy, which I think makes sense, but not on that guy. He's too far away. So I think that's probably a good radius. This guy is too far away. It seems like a good radius. Maybe even too far. But you know, it's too far. We'll go 200. Because you want to get the player pretty close before they can interact with stuff, I'd say. I think it's super cool to be able to click on an oak tree from across the map and go there and interact with it, but I think players will expect to have to get a little closer. Yeah, you can still interact with this guy. Just, you gotta get a little closer. So I think that's fine. I mean, we could even increase it more. Just because it's kind of cool to be able to look and inspect stuff in the distance. If we go to the top of this hill, maybe. We're like, what the heck is that? Is it better to be able to hover over it and see, oh, that's a pine tree? Or is it better to want the player to go explore and see, what the heck is that? And then, how close do they need to get? There. But ideally, maybe they like crest over this hill, see some other stuff while they're coming to it. Like, what the heck? That's a mountain over there. It's actually a volcano. Maybe we see how close we need to get to this. Okay, yeah, it's way too far, I'd say. Because we want people to get pretty close to that guy. So you know what, we'll just... Yeah, I think this is fine. As long as you can hover over all the stuff within town, that's probably the radius we want. Yeah, maybe we can just change the custom cursor a little bit of like, rather than just showing nothing, maybe you do like a little spyglass or something to show like, yeah, there would be something if you were closer. I don't know. All right. I think that is our list of all the stuff that we wanted to fix. There's a couple things I want to do off stream here and something that's probably a lot bigger. I don't want to get into that until I know how I want this codex to look, other than just like probably add a people section and how do we want to organize them and resize portraits and stuff to show them correctly. All that jazz. I want to design it a little bit. But one thing that we could do, maybe to wrap up, right now, you obviously click to move. You click every time you want to move. It's probably nice to be able to click and hold to move. Let's just add that in, and maybe we'll call it good from there. So let's go see in our player controller how hard that might be to add in. It's probably very simple, but I bet there's a bunch of like edge cases and stuff around it. So we've got handle input. Don't move when we're clicking somewhere in the UI, correct. Get mouse button down is what fires on the frame that you click down. But if we were to just change that to whenever the mouse is down, will that just work? Guess we'll try. It'll probably work, but I want to test all the UI to make sure it is fine, like when you're dragging items around and stuff. So click to drag. Yeah, that's much nicer, actually. Doesn't quite work when the cursor or the movement thing that we draw apparently has a collider on it. So, all right, we got to remove that. Movement indicator. Do you have a collider? You do. Why? You shouldn't need a collider. Why did I add a collider? Okay. Okay, that looks good. It's much better. Okay. We can just keep moving by holding. Nice, nice. And when we move while rotating the camera, we just go straight ahead. That's really nice, actually. I was worried that would break things. Okay. So, dragging an item around. Is that bad? Wait, why? Oh, right. I mean, it could be worse. Yeah, that's probably... well, actually, the problem is if we were to go over to an NPC and try and drag an item over, we're going to walk away from the NPC. Where's that thing we just crafted? This guy? Yep. So that's a problem. So if we have an item that we're dragging, we should not move. But purposefully, we don't have raycasting on the item tooltip. So what we should do is finally bite the bullet and have a lock movement flag on our player controller. We set it on begin drag. We clear it on end drag. Player can't move while dragging an item. We'll reuse that for other stuff, but that's what we should do. So we got our movement locked. We'll say that only applies for moving and like probably spacebar to jump, but less important there. Like if you want to jump while holding an item, I guess you can, and you might roll away from the guy, but you're not going to move on accident at least. So we'll say if movement locked return. And so we need public void lock movement. we'll have it as two separate functions instead of just passing in a bool, so we can do some other stuff when you lock and unlock. But also this will probably need to change anyway, because once you get multiple sources that can lock movement, you get race conditions of maybe if you want to lock movement on opening this, for example, if you talk to an NPC, lock movement, and you also lock movement when you drag an item. If you were to drag an item over, it would unlock that movement. But you have other sources that say it should be locked, so that doesn't work. So the solution is usually to like track the number of locked movement sources. So instead of bool movement locked, it'd be like locks on movement as an integer. And then each time you lock movement from a source, it just increments that. And when you unlock it, decrements it. And then you have something like is movement locked, returns, locks on movement is greater than 0. And then you just use that like we did above. Is movement locked. So then in our slot manager, we can just say when we start dragging, lock player movement, player database dot instance dot controller dot lock movement. And then when we're done dragging, we'll want to make sure that player movement unlocks when we don't drag onto a valid slot, but we can just say unlock player movement. And as long as you have the lock and the unlock in all of your different sources that can lock movement, it's nice to just have lock movement, unlock movement, and not mess with the counter outside of the player controller. It's nice to abstract that out. Let's test that. So now we bop on over to Braun. If we take an item, does not let us move while dragging it. If we put it back, it should unlock movement. Cool. If we drag that in, movement is unlocked because we finished the drag. Right, if we drag it and it's not a valid input, okay, it's fine. Drag it out of the window, maybe? Yep, still good. Alright, that seems fine. Looks like it's all working. The main problem was just that you couldn't drag items into NPC windows without running away. So we got a quick fix for that. That's fine. You can still like... Oh, you can't jump while dragging. Okay, that's fine too. I thought you'd be able to. We're probably short-circuiting at the right spot. Oh, you know what? The left mouse button is down while dragging. So that's where we're just returning early. Okay. So if we're harvesting, and we drag an item, we won't move. But we also probably can't hit the space bar at the right time for the critical harvest. Yeah, because our mouse button is down. Oh, we can. It's working. Okay. Well, you know what? We can't... Oh, right, because, yeah, when we're actively harvesting, then we read that elsewhere. When we're not harvesting is when we allow jumping. So it's all good. It all magically works. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so other things that might be able to just wrap up real fast. What did we do just now? Click and drag to keep moving. Just keeping a little changelog so I can commit it all and let Andrew know what I did. Right, if we harvest... Well, first of all, if we harvest and click away before our recipe is done, there's a bug. This obviously works because we already know the recipe. But if we were to make a recipe, we start researching, we click away. In a second, it'll say harvesting, right? There it is. So when we click away, we want to kill that coroutine as well. So let's do that. Say kill research coroutines if the player stops interacting with an object. Bet. That'll just be an end interaction, I think. We'll probably have coroutines somewhere for that research task. End research. Interaction coroutine for the interaction. So is this for actually harvesting, or is this for also researching? Time to fill. This looks like it's for actual harvesting. So probably want... Where do we do our research task? Generic, interactable, world object probably. Interact. If it's a known recipe, we start our interaction. If it is not a known interaction, start research probably... Okay, that doesn't handle the coroutine. Here's the coroutine. Okay, so this is what we need to kill. And maybe we set it on the target info bar controller. So here... We'll set that, and then we already have our end research. We can go ahead and say if research coroutine is set, we stop it when we walk away. This is a pop. Let's test that. So we reproduce that by clicking on an object. As soon as we start researching what we would get with this tool, we click away like that. And then we should have it all. We should never get a harvest bar. So we'll just wait a second. But it might save the research task, hopefully, or the result for next time. Because, well, I guess not, because the coroutine is actually being killed. And we never get the response. Is that bad? We generate the image. It'd be nice to keep it going up until got image for item. And then here, like if you have stopped researching, that's when you only do this if you're still actively interacting with it. But there's only some like saved tokens by not redoing the quest. I don't think that's worth the extra complexity. I think it's a lot clearer. If you cancel the research, it cancels the research. You gotta try it again. And I guess that ties better in, like, if we start giving players experience when they research a new thing, they need to actually finish researching it. So hopefully, yeah, research completes. And like here, it's a weird collider. Okay, it is still running. Suspicious. I wonder if that's from clicking on the same thing multiple times. Let's try with a new tool. So, canceled the research there. Yeah, I bet it is, because the thing that cancels the interaction is clicking on the ground elsewhere. But if we click it twice, or a few times even, we probably have multiple coroutines, and we're losing the reference to the first one when we clear them. Maybe. Or maybe it just clears. Yeah, there's some still funkiness, but I'd rather a bug that results in players getting more items than the kind of bug where they just can't get items. So it's fine for now. All right, so that works for the most part. It works mostly. So I think I'll, just run around, craft some items, wrap up the stream. There's not too many people in the chat, so it's all good. And I think we had a pretty successful stream today. We did a whole bunch of small stuff. I'm working on our Steam page this week and next week as we wrap up stuff and get things ready for people to try. So I am not actually going to have a stream next week. I'm going to be out of town. But the week after that, there should be a Steam page, and there should be a lot of updates. And I'm excited to show them all off and get this in other people's hands. So thanks for watching along. I'm just going to jam and craft some items. See what I get. See if I can break things, really. Oh, right. We didn't fix changing your tool. see if that works. It should. Alright, so if we harvest with a berry, but we want to switch to our axe afterwards, harvesting with a berry, I guess switching immediately interrupts the research too, which is fine. Mysterious seed. Interesting. Alright, we're harvesting. Change tools. Cool. We could have it automatically start re-harvesting with the next tool, so you could like queue up a bunch of tools, click on something, and scroll through, but I think it might be fine. There are also some weirdities of, like, if you're really close to something, it seems like the collider isn't necessarily working all the time. Like, that should have worked. I like this song, so I will go hunt that down. So on mouse down. We weren't over a game object. I wonder if it was like trying to get us to move to it. We were already close enough that the movement didn't do anything. I don't know. It's fine. Yeah, clicking and hold to move is a lot nicer. We could have like the like PlayStation 1 style camera updating while you move and like following you. I never liked that, so I kind of like just being able to lock the camera and move forward. Spacebar is not working. Why? Oh, I bet we're not grounded. We probably just didn't reset our ground correctly when we landed on one of those hills or something. That's fine. Game world will change also. This is very obviously just blocking where things are in the world. Yeah, like that probably killed our grounded flag. I think you can also kill it if you walk on water, which you need to remove from the nav mesh. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's Elixir Emporium right now. Getting closer and closer to that Steam demo. Let me find my Spotify window. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you next time I stream. Not next week, but the week after. I stream every Tuesday, 1 p.m. PST, and we are usually making games like this, and always love having people around asking questions or suggesting stuff. I usually implement whatever. So also you can join us on our Discord. We've got a bunch of other fun game devs working on other stuff in there. So that's in the description. If you want to follow along, feel free to. We're making a cool game and I can't wait to share it. So thanks.